Good morning, ladies. So we are going to be reading Walk the Plank today. This is day 1 of week 1. And our learning target for today is I can identify character motivation by analyzing his words and actions. Okay, so I used his because both of our characters are male today. So please follow along with me. And as you read, if you have a pencil with you, I want you to underline the words and actions of both Tommy and Jack when you see them in the story. You can chunk however you'd like. Walk the plank. Walking the plank is not a fun thing to do. Here's how it works. A pirate sticks a long piece of wood off the side of his ship and makes you stand at one end. He puts his sword at your back and bellows, "Walk the plank." You walk the plank towards the water. When you run out of plank, you fall into the water. Probably there are sharks down there. The ship sails away, and that's the end of you. The thing is, pirates never really made anyone walk the plank. This may surprise you, since it's in a lot of movies and TV shows. It's a nasty thing to do. And pirates were pretty nasty, so it seems like something they would do. But, in fact, walking the plank was imagined by Robert Louis Stevenson, a 19th century novelist, another word for an author, whose most famous book is Treasure Island. A fictional, pirate-like Long John Silver might make you walk the plank, but a real-life pirate never would. That is what was going through Tommy's mind as he stood on the end of the plank, staring out at his doom. His best friend, Jack, stood behind him. Tommy felt the point of Jack's wooden sword digging into his back. "I said walk the plank," shouted Jack. "The thing is," said Tommy, "pirates never really made people walk the plank. That was invented by Robert Louis Stevenson, who—" "I'm a pirate. Do you think I care about books?" They were standing on the edge of Jack's treehouse, which had a lot of uses. Sometimes it was a submarine, sometimes it was a spaceship, sometimes it was just a treehouse. That afternoon, it was serving as a pirate ship. They had been pirates all afternoon, and everything was going fine until Tommy made the mistake of criticizing his captain. Jack was always the captain, since this was his treehouse, and Captain Jack's #1 rule was that the crew must never question his orders. So, when the captain ordered his first mate to hand over 3 chocolate chip cookies, Tommy was supposed to do so without complaint. But chocolate chip cookies were his favorite. He'd suffered through a whole boring bologna sandwich to get them, and now he was finished. Jack wanted to take them away. Tommy didn't care who was captain. He stuffed all 3 cookies into his mouth and chewed as fast as he could. And so Captain Jack sentenced him to walk the plank. "I'm getting tired of waiting, Mr. Tommy. Walk the plank." Tommy looked at the ground. They had jumped out of the treehouse tons of times. But it was easy when you had a running start. It would be hard to just walk out into thin air. He could see why Robert Louis Stevenson thought this would be a scary thing. There was no way out. Unless, what would a pirate do? Tommy didn't hesitate. He spun around as fast as he could and kicked his leg into the air. George's sword went flying, and before Jack knew what had happened, Tommy leapt onto the sword. He popped up and pointed it at Jack's back. "Yarg!" "What are you doing?" whined Jack. "This is a mutiny. I'm the captain now. And I say you have to walk the plank." All right, ladies. So now that we've read, let's preview our questions. Right? Good strategy. Always preview your questions before you go back and do your second read so you know what to focus on during your close read. So number 1, what were Jack and Tommy pretending the treehouse was? Number 2, what was the main conflict in the story? So think about conflict, the problem in the story. Read the sentences from the text, so it goes on to these, the second page here too. So when the captain ordered his first mate to hand over 3 chocolate chip cookies, Tommy was supposed to do so without complaint. But chocolate chip cookies were his favorite. He suffered through a whole boring bologna sandwich to get them. And now that he was finished, Jack wanted to take them away. Tommy didn't care who the captain was. He stuffed all 3 cookies into his mouth and chewed as fast as he could. Based on the evidence, what conclusion can you draw about how Tommy felt? So again, what conclusion can you draw about what Tommy felt? What can you tell about what Tommy felt? Number 4, Tommy is afraid to walk the plank. What evidence from the text best supports this conclusion? So again, think of a conclusion for numbers 3 and 4. Think about a conclusion as a claim. What is the main idea of the story? Number 5. Number 6, again, we have some sentences here that you need to analyze. So number 6 says, so when the captain ordered his first mate to hand over 3 chocolate chip cookies, Tommy was supposed to do so without complaint. But chocolate chip cookies were his favorite. He'd suffered through a whole bunch of bologna sandwich to get them, and now that he was finished, Jack wanted to take them away. Tommy didn't care who was captain. He stuffed all 3 cookies into his mouth and chewed as fast as he could. And so Captain Jack sentenced him to walk the plank. I'm getting tired of waiting, Mr. Tommy. Walk the plank. As used in this context, what does the word sentence mean? Tricky one. Okay, number 7, choose the answer that best completes the sentence. Jack was always captain, blank. That was his house. So again, you're filling in some grammar work there. And then for numbers 8, 9, and 10, you have short responses that you need to use wrap for. So number 8, what did Tommy do that caused Captain Jack to sentence him to walk the plank? Number 9, how does Tommy avoid walking the plank? And then down here, number 10, explain why Tommy decides to become the captain and order Jack to walk the plank. Support your answer with evidence from the text. So ladies, another thing I want you to do is to take a look at these, and I want you to just think about them. You can maybe discuss them with a sibling or a parent if you want to read the story with them. So what point of view is the story told in? Okay, so as you think through, think about your clues. How do you know that it's third person? Okay, so remember that even though it says I, but it's stated in dialogue, and if it's surrounded by quotation marks, this proves that it is third person. The next one here. Do you think the story would be better if it were told in first person from the perspective of either Jack or Tommy? So think, if Tommy or Jack was telling the story, what would you gain as the reader? What might you lack as the reader? And then for the last one here, I want you to just remember that for your second read, I want you to underline the words and actions of Jack and Tommy. And what does that tell you about each character? Think about the traits that you could assign to each and which one you would connect with more. Okay, so again, for your second read, to support our learning target, I want to make sure that you're underlining the words and actions of Jack and Tommy, and think about that, what that tells you about the character. And then think, which one am I like? Am I more so like Jack or more so like Tommy? All right, ladies, good luck. Enjoy.